Before we get into the file interaction activity, I want to go over the different file types we're going to be using as a part of this activity. There are 4 different file types we're going to be using. The first is a JSON file. The second is a TXT file, which is actually a CSV file, a comma-separated values file. The third is an XML file, which stands for Extensible Markup Language, and the fourth is an SVG file, which is an image file. Those 4 file types represent the different files we're going to use in the activity. The first 3 are text files. Text files are files that are in plain text that we can actually read, parse, and manipulate as a part of programming. Binary files, which is the last type, generally are files that we don't edit directly. Those are files that we read the whole contents in, and then we'll use some of the program to manipulate those values in the data stream that's in the file itself. So let's look at these different file types really fast and make sure we understand what they look like. We're going to start with the accounts.json file. This is a JSON file, meaning a JavaScript object notation file, which means it looks like JavaScript. We can see that it starts with a square bracket. That means it's an array of objects. Inside, each object is represented by the curly braces, just like we would in JavaScript. Each object has an ID property, a name property, and a balance property, along with values for those different objects. We can see there are 5 different objects in this file, represented by the groupings of the curly braces. So that's our accounts.json file. The next is the customers.txt file. As I mentioned, this is a comma-separated values file, meaning that each value is separated by a comma from the previous value. In this particular file, it has a header row, the header row being the headers or the column names of the values that are stored in this file. Not all CSV files have header rows. This one does have a header row, so it makes it a little easier to read the values and understand what's going on. Each record, and there are 5 records in this case, has an ID value, a name value, and a balance value separated by commas. The third file type is our XML file. It's transactions.xml. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. And an XML file includes tags or elements, which are names that have basically are surrounded by these open and close angle brackets, so the less than and the greater than signs. There's an opening tag for each element and a closing tag, which has the same name, but the closing tag includes a / to let us know that it closes the opening element or the opening tag. So this line 23 closes the tag on line 2. They have the same name, but the bottom one has the /, meaning it closes the one that was opened up on line 2. Within the transactions element, we have several other elements. We in fact have 5 different transaction elements. Each element has a closing tag that says line 3 is opened here with the transaction element and it's closed on line 6 with the closing tag. So again, we've got 5 different objects. Within each of these objects, each one has an ID attribute, which has a value, and then they also each have a date and amount element, which are child values. So we could say this transaction object has an ID, a date, and an amount with the different values there. The last file type we're going to be using is going to be an SVG file. This happens to be the logo for Lucentary Academy. And we treat this as a binary file, so there's no data to manipulate or read here. This is simply a raw binary file that we're going to use as a part of our activities.